There's a lot of false misinformation on the internet regarding fitness. So here's 7 science-backed tips that I've learned over hundreds and hundreds of hours spent in the gym. Number one, don't let others influence your workouts. So here's the story. I was working out in the gym in Macedonia and I was doing the leg press. I put a lot of weight on the bar because that I could realistically do that weight without ego lifting. As I was doing my set, there was this old dude that came up to me and he was like, "Hey, don't you think you should go lighter on that? If you do too much weight, you could stunt your growth." And I was thinking to myself, what the fuck is wrong with this dude? That was a myth that was busted literally 10 years ago. And I told him, yeah, you're right. And then I just continued with my workout. So in that scenario, I could have done two things. Number one, agree with him, and number two, disagree with them and do what I think is right. Because I wasn't like a newbie back then. I mean, I was a newbie, but I knew what I was doing because I did my research. So there's a lot of people in the gym that are gonna try to pull you back down in the bucket like crabs. You know, when you put crabs in a bucket and the lower crabs are gonna try to pull down on the higher crabs so that they can also get out. So many people are like that because they're self-conscious because they're probably like fat or like they haven't seen any results because they're not going as hard as they could be. So they're gonna try to pull you back down when they see that you're doing good in the gym. So it could be your friends, your family, some random old dude that you see in the gym. There's gonna be people in the future that are gonna try to pull you back down. So make sure to not listen to them and stay authentic to your workouts and to yourself. Number two, weigh yourself every single morning. Maybe you've experienced being stagnant in weight, or you're probably gonna experience it in the future if you're just starting. But there's gonna be a point in your journey, or maybe you're even experiencing right now, where your weight is just has stayed the same for the past like 4 weeks. So to make sure that that's not happening, weigh yourself every single morning after taking a shit and after taking a piss, and make sure you're fasted in the morning when you're doing this. You want your body to be cleared of any food and any liquids. And the reason you want to do this is to be 100% sure that you're gaining or losing the right amount of weight every single week. If you're bulking, you want to be gaining at least 2 pounds and at most 4 pounds. And if you're cutting, you want to be losing at least 4 pounds and at most 4 pounds. At least 2 pounds and at most 4 pounds. Number three, use MyFitnessPal. So this app is literally designed to help you in your journey. So why would you not use it? You can track foods, you can scan barcodes if you have the premium version, but if you don't have the premium version, you can download Chronometer, which is also a very good app, and you can scan barcodes on that app for free. So you can use like those two apps. It's very beginner friendly, very advanced friendly. It's literally made for anyone that's going to the gym. And to add on to number two, in MyFitnessPal, you can track your weight. So there's this feature that you can use to track your weight, which is very useful. And there's literally no reason to not use MyFitnessPal. Track every food, every liquid that you drink except water. If you're not gaining or losing the right amount of weight, just add a little bit more calories to your deficit or surplus. Number four, eat the same meals every single day. If you do this, your life is gonna be 10 times more simple. Right now, there's currently 5 people in my home. So it's very difficult for me to do this, and I can definitely see how it complicates my fitness journey because sometimes there's too much food for me to decide what I'm gonna eat next, and sometimes there's too little food for me to eat anything. But I still try to get all my calories in. But eating the same meals every single day, it seems like a very robotic and automated thing to do, if that makes sense. But that's actually a good thing because there's very little room for you to slip up and not eat enough food or eat too much food if you're cutting. So just try to do this, and I actually think this is actually healthier. I know a lot of fat doctors are going to say that variety is the best thing you can have in a diet, but I actually disagree with that because of evolutionary reasons. Back in the day when people were living in caves, there wasn't very much variety to eat. Like there was just meat and a little bit of berries. So that's a side point anyway. So number five, don't look at your physique when you don't have a pump and when you don't have good lighting. Here's 2 pictures of my physique. Tell me which one looks better. Obviously the one on the right. And you might ask yourself, why is that? If you're advanced, you already know why that is. But If you don't know, it's because I have a pump and the lighting is at the perfect angle. The best situation that you can look at your physique is when the light is directly over your head and there's no other lighting in the room. And the reason why you don't want to look at your physique in any other place or situation is simply because it's going to discourage you. You're going to look at your physique and you're going to say, I look like shit. You can still look at your physique, but just know that light and a pump can be day and night difference in your physique. And if you notice that your physique looks like shit, then just consider that it might be the light and not your actual physique. But if you have perfect lighting and you have a pump, but your physique still looks like shit, then your physique just looks like shit. Number 6, go to failure. What do you think the number one training strategy is? You might say it's progressive overload. You might say is eating a lot of protein, and you might say is doing compound lifts. You might say it's doing isolation lifts. You might say it's doing calisthenics. And it's actually not any of those. You can do everything right in your training. So your sleep, your diet, your form in the gym, basically everything right. But if you're not going to failure on every single set, or I'm sorry, on every single working set, then you're not going to make as much progress as you could. So what is going to failure? Going to failure is doing as many reps as you physically can. And that means that your last rep on the set should look like a woman giving birth. So basically you're giving everything you have. You're pushing, you're gritting your teeth, and you're trying to move the weight inch by inch by inch on the last rep. And when you physically can't even move the weight even a millimeter, you're done with your set. Finally, the 7th tip I'm going to give you in this video is to slow down the stretched position in the rep. So what is the stretched position in the rep? So when you're doing an exercise, there's 2 positions that you are in: the contracted position and the stretched position for your muscle. And studies have shown that the stretch position from whatever exercise you're doing is the more beneficial position. And there's actually a study that compared people doing the full range of motion and just the stretched range of motion, or you could call it the lengthened range of motion. And it actually showed that those two groups of people had the same progress in that study. So it just goes to show that when you slow down the stretch position, you're gonna make more gains. So there you go, 7 tips that are not bullshit and are guaranteed to help you in some way and in some aspect of your fitness journey. Click the first link in the description if you want to get more personalized advice from me, and see you in the next one.